The founding editor of Mediaite.com is here with us, Mr. Colby Hall. Colby, thanks for joining.
Don, good to be here.
I wanted you to come on because you have this article that's up on Mediaite.com now. It's like, it was just a halftime show. The meltdown reveals how dumb we've become. Okay.
Well, I mean, it just, like halftime shows are always meant to be kind of a bathroom break. You refresh your drink and you get in a debate about like, do you like your guacamole spicy or not? And for some whatever reason, it's become like this weaponized, politicized wedge issue, largely driven by the right, who need to sort of kind of, divide and conquer, right? And I'm not a big Bad Bunny fan. I'm not into like sort of Latin club music, right? Give me Masters at Work or Little Louis Vega, I'll be there. But I thought that it was visually stimulating. It was good. But the fact that everyone had to either sort of get outraged and tune into this dumbass Kid Rock Turning Points USA show, and also there were some on the left who like felt like they had to make this show some sort of transcendent, like this was the peace moment. Like, no, it was just a halftime show. And I guess my larger point is that that's sort of the muscle memory that we've landed at. Like, why does everything have to be an outrage? Why does everything need to be something that either saves us or is, demonstration of the ruination of our society? And it's largely driven by President Trump and his followers who just need to point to other and say, this is a slap in the face. How is it a slap in the face? It's just a top-selling artist performing.
You have answered like four of my questions when I'm going to jump in and then you answer, because when I say, look, a couple of things. No, I'm not saying I liked it, but a couple of things. You said it was just a halftime show. But it wasn't, right? Because of everything. It wasn't just a halftime show. The meltdown reveals how dumb we've become. I agree with you on that, all right? However, I don't know when it started that people became, turned the whoever's performing at the halftime show into some political statement. If it was, the fake war on Christmas, if they were using it just to divide people, like, I'm not sure. But it became something, and then I think like, was it like Beyonce when people were upset, or did it start before that? Was it before Kaepernick, or like what was it? Because it's a little crazy.
Well, historically, it's sort of interesting because it used to be like growing up in the 70s, it was like marching bands and Up With People. It was cheesy, and then it was 92. Fox counter-programmed the halftime show and did In Living Color.
Living Color, right.
And the Super Bowl noticed that they lost a lot of ratings, so they quickly pivoted. And in 93, they booked Michael Jackson. And what they learned is that when you book these sort of catalog artists, whether it be like Bruce Springsteen, Prince, U2, Tom Petty, their back catalog sales just soared. So it became this money-making deal between the NFL. I think what happened, sort of more recently, where it got kind of like, it started pivoting younger. Like the audience, they like Bruno Mars and Beyonce and Lady Gaga. These are not artists that are popular with the traditional old kind of white dude football fan, but it was intentional not only to monetize and to sell the records and get money from Apple Music, but also it was an appeal to a younger audience. The NFL is like the most mainstream entity in the world. So they were like, we need to get more people involved. And if you look at what's going on in the NFL, like they are actively trying to build their viewership in South America and in Europe. So
because that's where the growth is. I mean, they're not stupid, right? That's where the numbers. So Roger Goodell is not dumb.
No, it's a smart move. And honestly, if you look at sort of the end of the Bad Bunny performance, it was a celebration of South America. And so, the fact that like all these right-wing outrage merchants are saying like, this is a thumb in the finger of America because the performer is rapping entirely in Spanish. It's like, really, dude? Like that's the thing. Like, no, the NFL is basically just trying to bring in, it's capitalism. It's a free market. They're just trying to build their viewership. And the fact that people have to, it just shows that some people just have to be angry about everything.
Yes.
And then, and the pendulum, I think, swings both ways. I think, then it becomes reasonable people have to defend it. Like, no, it's actually kind of good. And this is why we can't have nice things as a nation, because we're just
Well, this
constantly
was
fighting over dumb shit.
well, that's strategic. Well, I'll get to that in a second, but I just want to show you this was the most watched Super Bowl ever. So, I mean, look, I think Roger Goodell knows exactly what he was doing, right? I think that like 137 million or something people watched, which was just extraordinary. But my thing is like, yeah, I think Donald Trump knows that by dividing people, that he can animate them, that he can sort of energize them and get them riled up and angry, and then they go to the polls, or they, if someone is, and he gets more support. So if someone calls and says, "Hey, how do you feel about Donald Trump and the economy?" You're going to go, "He's great and he's doing whatever," even though it's terrible. But so I think he's very good at doing that. And I know the In Living Color thing has been a while ago, but I mean, Michael Jackson, not political. If you have Earth, Wind, and Fire, not political, whoever it is at the halftime show. But having on, for some reason, it has become political in this modern day. And I think this is me. I think it happened like when the musical artist, look at this, 135.4 million viewers. When the musical artist, and this is Bad Bunny HQ, when they became not white. And I think that's, when it became not white, like, Michael Jackson was sort of, he transcended whatever. But when it became like not white, people were like, well, why do I want to watch this? Because this doesn't represent me. It happened, when Snoop Dogg, remember that? And all
Well,
the
sure.
rappers were out there. Yeah.
I think you nailed it with Beyonce, because she is very, very popular, but again, going to the traditional NFL watching demographic, which is getting smaller, and that is to say, what was mainstream white dudes, you're like, I don't listen to this, and it just, it was done. And then yesteryear, last year, it really came to a head with Kendrick, right? Was because
Right.
he was the hottest. That record won all the Grammys. It was an amazing, amazing show. And, the reaction again, like I remember I did like a video clip of, 3 minutes of Fox News hosts predictably thinking it was the worst thing ever, which is like just, you know, Bill O'Reilly is a guy that has always loved to have some sort of like attack on rappers. Like there's this legion of examples where, the Fox News hosts love to sort of otherize and blame the rapper, ignoring the fact that Kendrick Lamar was like this transcendent hip hop figure that brought, he's a great rapper and had great messaging and was really smart and had this great beef with Drake. Like that sort of, was the culture. Again, the Bad Bunny was visually stimulating, but the anger, if I wrote about it, it feels like people were getting mad at like a screensaver. Like, who cares? Like, in the context of ICE and then booking the guy that looks like little Liam, that wasn't him, but there was all these sort of Easter eggs that were, I think, was he wearing Ocasio as a jersey? There was all these things that had great meaning, but to suggest that it was somehow like he was un-American, like he's Puerto Rican, dude. Like he's
Mhm.
American, and he, streams 25 times more, units than Kid Rock, which I saw your thing about Kid Rock, which, Kid Rock, like, he's a guy that's rapped about statutory rape. And the fact that, like, he's like the Talking Points USA Christian, he's the guy, like, like, it's boggles the mind.
Well, I think that kind of answers your question. Like, how did we, it reveals how, well, you're not asking the question. You're saying this reveals how dumb we have become.
Look, it's there's reason for the culture war, right? Like, and I would say very often it's a reaction, but in a weird way, I feel like Trump is really listing. I think he's really like kind of losing momentum. People are getting sort of like, hey, it's not getting any cheaper, and we don't want to see Border Patrol killing American citizens who are protesting, and we don't want to see, journalists arrested because they, are doing journalism. I think he's losing his mojo. So if you put it in that context, it explains perfectly well why Trump is doing this, because he wants to, his whole mission thesis is make America great again. That only works if he tells everyone how bad it is. And so he amplifies this halftime show as evidence of, this isn't a white English speaking person, therefore it's bad, which is
But he's American. That's what, I don't get how these people, like Puerto Rico is America. And
Well, yeah, I mean, I saw Joe Scarborough say this, so I'm going to steal a bit. Like, if you're complaining about him not being American, you're showing your ass, right? Like, you are
Mhm.
being bigoted because, he's not, he's not Lee Greenwood or, whomever. Like, which, by the way, I thought that would have been really great if Bad Bunny opened a show with Lee Greenwood as his surprise guest, like just as a giant
like
head.
Lee Greenwood, like sitting on a tractor with with hay, with a hay
Right.
bale. That would be great.
But true,
Yeah.
it was a terrible game, and the most interesting thing that's come out of it, like everyone's talking about this performance, which suggests it was a good booking by the NFL, right? Like you got people to tune in.
Well, that's
Controversy's good, of
controversy works, but that's what I wanted to ask you about because you know what the Streisand effect is, right? So
course.
they're like, "Oh, watch the alternate Super Bowl party, and this is un-American, and this is whatever." I mean, as with everything, right? If Donald Trump does that, he's just gonna blow it up, meaning more people are gonna want to watch it, more people are gonna want to respond, even if just in spite, even on social media. Like he is, as you're saying, he's not helping his own cause.
Well, he isn't, but the more we talk about Bad Bunny and whether or not that's an attack on the American way, the less we're
Epstein.
talking about the Epstein files, and the less we're talking about grocery prices are still up, and the less we're talking about invading, Greenland or whatever dumb shit that he is saying. Right? It's Howard Lutnick is all over the Epstein files, and was on vacation with him, his next door neighbor. Like that doesn't just go away. But if we're distracted by, and that's where I try to, like, the dumb in the headline was maybe a little bit over the top, but it got attention. And it just, we're so easily distracted by this fire hose of like crazy. And, I think people have been pretty disciplined to say, like, no, stay on point. And the Epstein thing is becoming a bipartisan issue. And we're kind of, a divided nation is unifying over outrage over that, as it should. So I think that's
Let me
kind of
ask
the
you,
other side to it.
how are Bad Bunny stories doing on your site?
Not as well as the stories about how Kid Rock is mocked for his terrible lip syncing. I don't know. I mean, if you watch the clips, you're like, how is that a performance? It's moronic, but I mean, it's the outrage. As much as I like to take the high road media, we will cover that, and that gets clicks. Here's how conservatives are outraged over this, and people want to see what's being said. We don't really take a position. I mostly write columns, and I just wonder, when did halftime shows become a wedge issue? It's so dumb. Come on, people. It's just a halftime show.
Yeah, yeah, um, yeah. So there
Yeah.
you go. Thank Colby Hall.
Let me ask
Colby
you,
Hall's the founder. Yeah.
how did the halftime show go over where you were watching?
Oh, amazing. Because we had young people were like in the kitchen or whatever in that area. And then there were sort of the older folks who knew each other and had worked with each other, just friends. And then they didn't really come in. They watched the game on like a smaller television. The big TV was in the den. And when the halftime show came on, they just invaded that room, sat on the couch right in front, and they were going for it. I'm like, yeah,
That's it.
all the old people were looking at each other going, yeah. I mean, these young whippersnappers, right? You kids and what was that? And your dirty Van Halen, remember that, or Van Heflin or whatever it was. Yeah.
So exactly. Well, I think that window sums up exactly why the NFL booked Bad Bunny, because young kids aren't into the NFL like us olds, and so they know that they need to draw those eyeballs, and they did.
And they don't care. They don't care about the political message. And I think, I heard someone say it, and I thought they were very good about it. They said, when someone is performing, you're not thinking about politics. You just want to be entertained. And I think that's what happened. Like it's entertaining to read your columns and to have you on the show. Thank you, Colby Hall, founding editor of Mediaite.
Stay strong.
Thanks so much for watching, everybody. Your support means the world to us. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe so you never miss a show. We're live every weekday at 10 a.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern Time with new clips dropping at 2 p. and 8 p. And if you want even more Don Lemon Show content, join the Lemon community. Members get exclusive posts, behind-the-scenes videos, and live chats just for you. So hit the join button or visit our channel page to sign up. Thanks again for all your love and your support, and I'll see you next time.